Hello there, and welcome to the Driven Podcast. Today I'm talking with the great Dr. Owen Campbell. He's a physical therapist who turned his corporate career into an entrepreneurial journey. After climbing the corporate ladder in New York City and in Phoenix and overseeing multi-million dollar operations, he walked away from that traditional model when he saw the system breaking down a little bit. So 2 years ago, he launched his own concierge practice where he focuses on personalized care for athletes, executives, and everyday people who want to move without pain. Today's episode, we explore how Owen made the leap from the corporate stability to entrepreneurship and the risk and rewards of building a niche concierge model. So super excited for you to hear the lessons he's learned as he shapes his own business on his own terms. Today's podcast is sponsored by Driven Relationships, where we build strong relationships.
All right.
Hey, Owen, thanks so much for jumping on with me today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so you're located in Phoenix, right?
Yes.
What do you
Yes.
do?
I'm a physical therapist. I have a concierge physical therapy practice, and we service Phoenix, Scottsdale, Cave Creek, pretty much anywhere on the eastern side of the valley.
Okay. Okay. And you've been out here for 12 years, right? You
Yep.
lived in the Big Apple. You lived in New York City?
Oh yeah. So when I got out of PT school 15 years ago, all my friends wanted to go to New York, and I didn't. I wanted to go south, but literally everyone I knew went to New York City. They called it like adult college. Like dorm rooms are just more expensive. So they
Right.
talked me into it for 3 years. Had a lot of fun, learned a
Fun.
lot, and then came out here.
What were you doing physical therapy in New York City or or were you waiting to,
Yeah,
what were
so
you doing?
so I started in the Upper East Side, and then I
Okay.
managed a clinic in Union Square. And then those were, yeah, so I had 3 years, my first 3 years of practice were in New York.
That's so fun. Did you have live with roommates?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
two
and
other friends from PT school, and
in a
it
tiny
was you
little
s-
place? Did you have your
oh
own
yeah.
room or were
Yeah.
you like in the living room?
Well, we got really lucky. We had like a basement apartment, and of course we weren't any of us were not from New York. So
Okay.
we were like, "Oh my God, a three full bedroom and you get laundry in unit? Like this is amazing." Well, we realized it's literally the farthest away you can be from a train on the island of Manhattan.
Oh,
So the
okay.
15 minutes of walking in the rain to get underground kind of sucked. Uh, as a New
Oh,
Yorker would have known that, but we didn't, so we didn't
oh
care.
my God. What was your favorite part of living in New York?
Just being exposed to everything. Like I could just walk out my door when I'm bored. I had met my wife. I met my wife here. So there would be times where I'd just be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go for a walk for a few hours and see what happens. And
Mhm.
you're walking by famous places or you're seeing weird stuff that you would only see in New York. So it
Right.
was great.
Right. Have you been back since? Like, do you go back and visit or?
A few times.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I've taken the wife back. Haven't had the kids go back. It's not, moving around the subways with small children is not fun. So we'll probably wait till they're a little older and they can appreciate like the museums and stuff.
Yeah, we took our kids. They were in elementary, and then maybe one of them was in middle school.
Oh
It
yeah,
was a
there you
good
go.
time though. We went to Carlo's Bakery. My son was really big into Cake Boss at the time, so we
There you
went
go.
to the
Get
bakery.
that five-tiered cake that looks like a football or something.
Exactly. Yes. It was
Yep.
New York is magical, especially in the fall. I love it.
Oh,
Um,
there's a
so
heartbeat.
so why did you come to Arizona? Are you from here originally?
No, so actually, long story. My grandpa, after World War II, there was this thing, I think down in like Tucson, where they basically gave a whole bunch of jobs to cattle ranchers, and he came down and
Oh,
did cattle ranching down in like South Arizona.
okay.
And then he went back to New York, and then they retired back out here in Tombstone, of all places. So this
Okay.
kind of caricature Western town. So I
Yeah.
remember as a kid, I would go to this like caricature Western town. It was the coolest
Oh,
thing. And then my cousin actually moved out here. We're the same age, and she moved out here when she finished school. And she
okay.
said, "Oh, it's great. You should totally do it." And about 2 or 3 years later, I wanted to get out of New York and I didn't want to pay for California. So
Yeah.
Arizona, here I
Yeah.
am.
It's very, very affordable. I feel like it's maybe a little less affordable than it used to be, but still
Uh-huh.
really, really affordable place to live and to raise a family.
I made a great timing decision. It was, as compared to what it is now. I tell people you could ask me for real estate advice based on my track record, but I don't know anything. I just got lucky.
Oh, my husband and I did too. We bought a house in 2011
Mm,
and sold it in 2017 for more than double.
I was gonna say, yeah,
And then we bought in Old Litchfield Park. We're on the west side of Phoenix, and we bought right before it went crazy.
yeah,
You can't
yeah,
even
same.
you can't even
We
get
we
it
were,
right for under 1 million now. It's insane.
I know. Hopefully it comes down a little bit. There's a lot of people who want to move here, so
I
that'd
know.
be good to see them.
Yeah, wild. Okay, so why did you choose physical therapy? What got you into this? Where does that love come from?
Well, I started because my mom's a nurse and we would always watch ER back to like George Clooney and like all those, right?
Oh, yes.
And I would always go to her, this seems cool, but I don't want to cut the wrong artery. And
Okay.
she was like, they teach you that in med school, right? Um, so I said, no, it's fine. I want to do sports and stuff. So she said, well, okay, go shadow at the local PT place. And I was fortunate that a really, really good PT was down the street in our rural town. Like he just happened to be from there. Um, so yeah, I've wanted to do it since I was 15, went to school for it, stuck with it. I'm one of the weird ones that I didn't get a catastrophic injury in my like high school
Yeah.
playing career. Most
Okay.
kids, they blow their knee out
Right.
and they're 14 years old and they're hanging out in a PT clinic for 4 months and then they figure out they want to do it. I came at it more from the academic angle where it was the most sport centric one where I could make decisions. Like, if a doctor tells me don't do this with a patient, like, I don't have to say yes, sir, no, sir. I can be like, no, I think this is the best thing to do with the patient in the rehab context. So I wanted that autonomy as well as the
Mhm.
academic challenge.
So did you play sports in high
Yeah.
school? Okay.
Yeah. Lacrosse was my major one.
Okay.
And then I also played basketball for a short time.
Oh, good. So my boys played football
Yeah.
and currently. There's so many injuries.
Yep.
Any way around it in football? I mean, it's such a brutal sport. I come
Yeah.
from Indiana, so like we played basketball. Football
Yeah.
wasn't really a big thing till later.
Yeah.
A way to
It's
prevent any of this stuff? I mean, I feel like all these kids are like maybe
don't be
older.
afraid. Yeah, don't be afraid of strength training. That's the biggest thing. And then make sure that I think it's somewhere around like 13 or 14, they're to a level where it's not going to mess with any sort of growth plates or anything. And I don't quote me on the research. That's more of a strength and conditioning thing. But essentially, the biggest mistake I see with parents is that they say, okay, my kid has to weight train like a bodybuilder, and they're doing deadlifts, squats, bench press because that's what coach wants, and that's what old school, usually when coach was in high school, that's what they did. But the way to prevent injuries is actually to be working more at like power and quickness and
Okay.
all that. And then the other thing is don't specialize. So if all you do is put your kid in like year round one sport, they're going to
Right.
learn that movement. And the problem is when the one time something comes up out of left field, right? A guy makes a cut that he wasn't expecting or whatever, because the player doesn't have different movement patterns outside of what they learn in that specific sport, they tend to get
Mhm.
injured. So Drew Brees said one of the best things, he had this horrific injury, but he said one of the biggest things that helped him through that was that he was a three-sport athlete, and
Mm.
he learned basketball how to jump and land correctly. Right? He's a quarterback, but he's like, one time I had to jump over a running back. Like, we don't practice
Right.
that, So things like that I would always tell parents, just make sure your kids play multiple things.
I think that's great advice. And I think if you're athletic, you can kind of step into anything and be good at it because you know your body can move. You can do things.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but even then, I mean, if you're a smart person, you would say, well, you should be a good physicist and also a good writer, right? And it's
Mhm.
like, well, okay, yes, a smart person is going to be better at that than a dumb person, but they
Right.
still need to train it, right?
Yeah.
So, even if it's just farting around in the yard, right? Like I know
Yeah.
travel coaches will make you believe that you got to spend like 11 months playing soccer or whatever. It's not true. If you're good enough, you should be able to play for 3 months and kill everybody.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
for parents who have to go through that grind to get their kids some way of being seen, I tell them play other sports, find other
Okay.
things that you kill time with.
Okay. I'm going to have my son listen to this. My
There you
youngest.
go.
I feel like he needs to be playing basketball. He's good. He has natural ability, but he just wants to focus on football. I'm going
Yeah,
to listen.
there you go. Get that Indiana
So
genes out.
yeah. So you um have previously worked for other companies
Yep.
and you were kind of climbing the corporate ladder. Can you tell us about
Yes.
that transition from like when it switched and why you do your own thing now.
Yeah, so my parents were both very risk averse. They were not entrepreneurs, nurse and a postal worker. So it was very much get a job, find a good company, move up in the company.
Okay.
And I was doing that. Like I could run a clinic, I could motivate people. That's the big thing in PT. It's all about who's around you, and
Okay.
there's no algorithm that fixes it. It's like if patients like your team, they'll keep coming to your physical therapy clinic, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I was good at managing people, and I moved up and up, and in Arizona we built out a region. I think I was over like 5 million in annual revenue. She sold that for 8 figures, and then I moved on to a bigger corporate company, and then I was in their pipeline. And basically, it came down to knowing the way that physical therapy is going with the declining reimbursement rates. I think it's like 40% over the last 15 years. If you count for inflation, we've taken a 40% haircut. All that means is I'm just going to have to see way more people for the same amount of money. So I decided to switch and go to concierge physical therapy. So that way, my more motivated patients, the ones who weren't there to check a box for getting whatever other medical procedure, or the fitness forward people who really cared about getting back to activities, and my particular love is golfers,
Okay.
that they had access to that, because I would constantly be sitting in a clinic and saying, I want to spend more time with you because you're so motivated, but I got three other people over here
Right.
who don't really care about getting better. If they do, just a very small amount, and I got to split my time. I'd much rather spend time with more motivated people. So that's why I switched to concierge 2 years ago.
Okay. So, how many clients, patients do you have? Can you handle?
Yeah, so good question. So you're spending the money for my availability, right? So typical
Okay.
physical therapy in a insurance-based model, you're responsible for 60 patient visits in a week, right? So essentially 1.5 patient visits per hour, right? So that usually puts somewhere around like 30 clients, 30 to 35.
Okay.
For me, it's closer to 10. So I usually a busy, super busy, I'm crazy week is 20. I probably could do like 23 patients if I booked them all, where they needed to be. Or sorry, 23 visits. So meaning that would probably only be like 10 or 11 patients at one time. Because usually most people come for twice a week.
Okay. Um, have you had weeks like that where it's that
Oh
many?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh
Do
yeah.
you like that? Is that fun for you when it's
Yeah,
like,
oh yeah. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. So for me, because it's my business, right? It's my passion.
Yeah.
It's what I'm doing. So, you get way less burnt out by volume when you know it's for
Mhm.
like what you want to build, what you want to grow. Every patient is, an opportunity to make their life better, but then if they tell three friends, that makes your business better, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's those big weeks are great.
Was it scary when you took that leap and decided, I'm going to do this on my own? And is it a franchise that you own,
No,
or is it
no. So
your
this
own
it's my
model,
own
your own
business.
thing? Okay.
Yep, 100
Okay.
percent mine.
Okay.
Essentially, what PTs tend to do is they start out, if they have a rich uncle, they just start doing this, right? It
Ah,
doesn't matter. They have
we
a
all need we
six
all
month
need a
runway.
rich uncle.
I know, right? But what most PTs do if in this situation, the nice thing is I have a license and it's in demand. There's a huge shortage for
Yeah.
physical therapists.
Yep.
So what I did for the first probably year was some part of my week was working at a hospital or a clinic or some other person's business, as like a per diem or whatever role. But then the other part of my week would be patients, right? So
Okay.
everyone who I did that with knew my priority was my business. So like in the winter here in Arizona, I didn't take a single shift for like 4 months, right?
Okay.
But then in the
Okay.
summer, I would take two a week, right? Because all the patients
Lower.
who could afford
Mhm.
concierge got out of here when it was 110
Mhm.
degrees. So you kind of go back and forth, and the hope is this year is when I don't have to worry about that. I'll have enough
Okay.
word of mouth, enough volume that I can be smart about saving during the heavy times, and then that way in the summer I don't have to do shift work again.
I love that. I love that you had the flexibility to do that.
Yeah.
So do you think, if you were to go back to like that time when you went to New York and worked for someone else, would you go back to that and do it differently? Would you go jump right into this? Or do you think that that taught you a lot working for someone else? And like, did you learn a lot during that time?
Oh yeah. So the first company I was with, they actually were very progressive. So if you've There's a Health South is a company you may be familiar with. It was very, very popular about 15 years ago, and now they still have some locations. They committed massive Medicare fraud, and they were it's a huge case, and they were broken up. And my boss took that one over. And she was very motivated. She had great leadership education. She really forced us read the books, come to the seminars. How are you doing better? A lot of mentorship. So as much as that was a busy time in my life, it actually taught me a heck of a lot about being a good manager and leader. And
Okay.
then I brought that to Arizona where they didn't have that. She was more of an entrepreneurial, like, I don't know, like basically hopefully what I will be in a few years.
Okay.
So I was able to bring that and incubate it here in Arizona and learn and practice and build and see that I could do this stuff. So it gave me the
Okay.
confidence that, I don't, the hardest thing I worried about was these last few years, to be honest. Like if you were to wave a wand, give me money and say like, here's a clinic with an insurance contract all set up, I could, I feel very confident that I could run that. It's the
Okay.
how do you market, how do you relationship build, how do you put everything on your own shoulders versus this is my company, this is what we do. That was honestly the scariest part was the last few years.
So where do your clients come from? Where is it just all word of mouth?
Yeah, so the hard thing about physical therapy is even if you had the money for paid advertisements, you would have a hard time. People don't make a decision on who's going to treat my shoulder and come into my home based on like if my Facebook ads are good, right? They
Right. Yeah.
typically it's, you say, "Oh, my shoulder hurts." You're playing pickleball with somebody and then they say, "Oh, this is my PT. He's great," right? So even the biggest clinics still struggle with kind of paid advertisement and kind of moving their way
Okay.
up.
Okay.
I'm pushing more into SEO a little bit more now. Um, but nothing massive, right? But
Mhm.
I know you need to make sure marketing is one of those things that you don't cut off, right? And I said,
Yeah.
okay, I can at least do SEO and build over a long period of time at a lower number than,
Mhm.
put thousands towards Facebook ads and
Mhm. Yeah.
just be checking the manager every month.
Yeah. So my company used to be called Driven Marketing, and we changed it to Driven Relationships because there's so much that goes on in marketing. And what we
Yeah.
really felt and saw, like the numbers told us that relationships is what turns into dollars with
Yep.
the companies we were working with. People buy based on knowing you and liking you and trusting you.
Yep.
And a lot of people ask for a referral. They ask their friends, like, who do you use? So we
Mhm.
are really hyper focused on relationship building with a company's clients and their referral partners. So I would think with you, you would have like a lot of referral partners, whether
Yeah.
it be, I
Yeah.
don't know, accident attorneys,
Well, I
chiropractors.
can tell you.
Yeah, tell me who are they? Who are your referral?
Yeah. Well, so the nice thing about being, higher up in PT in a city for 10 years is that I know a good amount of doctors and surgeons.
Right.
So the problem is everybody that comes through their office wants to use insurance. So
Mhm.
I get a few from them, but it's almost always like an entrepreneur who doesn't carry insurance or they only carry catastrophic insurance. We're actually seeing now a lot of executives at high level like law firms, they're actually choosing to do catastrophic plan and then pay cash for everything else and get reimbursed after. So I've kept up my physician referral partners. Golf instructors I actually have been focusing on a lot in the last few months.
Okay.
Because my specialty is the golfer, and physical therapists typically treat golfers like kind of geriatric people who need to turn their spine, and there's way more to the golf swing of like why something would be wrong.
Okay.
I always give people the example, the first thing I'm going to touch when somebody says they have left elbow pain is I'm going to stretch their left hip. And they're going to say, well, why?
Oh, okay.
And that's understanding that. So, golf instructors, I've gotten a lot of good kind of conversations going back and forth because my whole goal, it's kind of the same with personal trainers, is loss mitigation. So the number one reason somebody will cancel a fitness program or will cancel their lessons is they get pain with it, right? And any
Mm,
good trainer or golf instructor will tell you it's a very simple thing. Why wouldn't they just do, some level of flexibility? And that's where I can come in and say, look, so and so gave me this information. and I'm going to check you here, go back to them. And that way the person doesn't cancel.
Oh,
So referral partners tend to like that.
oh
But yeah,
yeah.
mostly it's word of mouth. Mostly it's like, yeah, my grandma used you, or, I
Okay.
with BNI, with networking groups, things like that.
So where do you network mostly? BNI, and then do you like
Yep.
network at golf courses? Are you networking with surgeons as much anymore? Like
Yeah, so the
at your
surgeons are nice
time?
because I can just text them and say,
Okay.
"Hey, I'm going to swing by your office." And they're like, "Cool, I'll see you at lunch."
Okay.
With golf instructors, it's weird because some of them they don't think PTs have any role. Others they think they have a great role, but they're worried I'm going to take their clients. And I always joke,
Oh,
I'm a terrible golfer, so I'm not going to teach them anything good. But I was like,
okay.
you wouldn't ask the rehab department to teach an offensive lineman how to block, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
so it comes from I reach out to them. I do cold DMs where I'll go on a Facebook group like Arizona Golfers or something. And then if
Mm,
somebody posts like, "Hey, I got new lessons opening up," I'll be like, "Hey, virtually, I'm giving you my card. I'm a PT. I come to you and I'm really good at golf." And someone will be like, "Awesome." And then others will be like, "Oh, wait, hold on. I got like four patients for you." So it's kind of hit or miss.
that's awesome. So how long does someone end up working with you? Like if someone's in pain or they're having trouble, what's the average time that you work with them?
Good thing you said average because it's different for everybody.
Yes, yes.
The I've had some people who are 30 visits. I've had some people who are two.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but typically the average is somewhere around 9 visits, 8 to 9 visits.
Okay.
That's industry standard, by the way. PT has like looked at that and said, what's the average somebody should be in for physical therapy? Because our goal is
Okay.
not to keep you forever. Our goal is to like educate and then let you go.
Mhm, mhm.
So about 9 visits is typically it. That usually time frame works out to be about 6 weeks,
Okay.
depending on the person's schedule, like anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. Do you work with professional golfers, like where you're their person? I know we have a lot of things coming through, like the waste management, or
Yeah.
what they call it now.
Uh,
What do they call it? They don't call it waste management anymore. What is it?
the Phoenix Open,
Phoenix Open. Yeah. I
something
mean,
like that. Yeah.
yeah. They working
No, I
in
don't.
fitness.
So yeah, if you know any professional golfers, give them my card.
Okay.
No, so the professional world is weird because half of those guys they will not trust you unless you were their junior PT or performance coach, right? The
Okay.
other half, it's basically there is a hierarchy, right? Like the people
Mhm.
who are physical therapists for the tour, they've been working for a long time in
Okay.
golf. So
Okay.
that's something where, it might be something, I sell my company and then I need a job. And by that point, hopefully I'm known by a bunch of golfers. That'll
Okay.
happen. I know John Rahm's see this chiropractor PT. I said, well, how'd you get him? And he's like, because I did some like continuing education thing for golf and he loved it. So
Yeah.
then I became his, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. And he said, but
Yeah.
one of my baseball players, it's because I treated his grandma and he was in Chandler, right? And now he's a professional basketball or professional baseball player. And now I treat like a
Right.
bunch of baseball players. So it
Yeah.
can kind of, there are some levels of like, you got to be really good at what you do. But a lot of it in PT is like, being in the right place and not being a headache and getting good results.
Right.
The
Yeah.
best PTs I've seen would never survive in a sports environment. They're just
No.
too nerdy. They can't relate to the athlete. The athlete won't do what they say. So
Mhm. Mhm.
it's weird when it comes to pros.
Okay. What's been the biggest challenge being on your own? Does it get lonely? Do you have
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It does suck because I'm so used to every day being able to go in and have like 17 or 18 coworkers, right?
Mhm.
Either all in a big clinic or other managers remotely. Whereas this, it's just you're looking at your computer. Should I do this? Should I do not? Like what?
Right.
The really good thing is that I had a lot of people who've walked this road in Phoenix.
Okay.
So a lot of other mobile physical therapists who started maybe 2 or 3 years before me, all the way up to like 8 years. And we all had really good relationships when I was working. So they've actually been a great source of patients because they'll
Good.
say, "Hey, I'm busy. I trust you to take care of this person. Can you
That's nice.
go here?" Yeah. So the PT community is actually really good in Phoenix. And because I was, a regional director at one of the biggest ones, like I know if I don't know the actual PT, I know someone who knows them really well.
Okay.
So it's a good referral source.
Okay. So do you feel like it's really competitive, the space you're in, this concierge service? Is it becoming more competitive?
Kind of, yeah. What you're getting is a lot of new grads who have high loans because I mean the cost of going to college has doubled
It's
since I was there,
insane. It's
right?
completely insane.
So I paid off my loans fortunately within a few years. These guys are going to be paying loans for 20 years, right?
Mm,
All for like I said before, reimbursement rates have actually gone down when it goes to inflation. So
mhm.
mathematically, it is getting to be a very poor decision not to go out and do your own thing. So there's more people in the market, but they're almost
Okay.
always like under 5 years experience, right? Like there's a guy who's been in the market, and I had a patient who's like, well, yeah, he's very, he's all this stuff, and I was like, do you realize I graduated 5 years before him? Right? Like just because I
Mhm.
started a business 2 years ago and he started 8 years ago doesn't, there's a
Mhm.
quality difference there still, right?
Right.
So yes, it's competitive in terms of people entering the market, but if you're good,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
At
Would
least
you?
that's what I've always thought.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's enough business to go around, and I think people hire you because of you. And if you're talented, it doesn't matter. I work with a lot of loan officers and real estate agents, and some of them get really fearful, like in a time like right now when the market isn't doing what they want it to do. But the clients I work with, they are still making money. They are still in business because
Mhm.
they're still working. And there's
Yeah.
there's business. You just have to like be willing
Yeah.
to stick with it.
Well, and especially Phoenix is a massive market, which is
Hmm.
spread out, so nobody wants to drive if they don't have to.
Hmm.
You have a lot of people who, they come into this market for good jobs, well-paying jobs. So I think the pool is getting a lot bigger faster than the amount of PTs who are starting their own businesses.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'm not worried. I wouldn't have been worried in a competitive marketplace because,
Okay.
you got to be some level of cocky, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
um,
Dr. Owen is the best. Um, you're driving to all these people's houses.
Yep.
How far do you go? Phoenix
Well,
is big.
so I have a patient in Fort McDowell after this call. That's only 45 minutes away. She
Oh,
lives on a mountain. Um,
okay.
but it is actually kind of scary to realize that most places in the city are 30 minutes away from each other, right? So, or
Okay.
within 30 minutes. So I can have two patients in Arcadia, same small neighborhood in East
Mhm.
Central Phoenix, right? And it could take 10, 15 minutes to get between them because it's all surface streets and schools out and all that stuff. I could
Mhm.
also have a person in Peoria
Mhm.
and then Desert Ridge, and it's the
Mhm.
same exact drive time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's freaky weird how
Yeah.
basically I schedule an hour appointment and then I always schedule a half hour in between,
Yeah.
and I'm always on time.
That's so funny. Have you ever been scared for your life in someone's home? Have you ever been like, I'm scared, this is freaky? Like,
So I haven't.
okay.
Thankfully, now I also own the fact that I'm a very large male
Yeah.
therapist.
Yeah.
There are small female therapists that I know who have had some horror stories, and they put in like protections and things like that to,
Okay.
in place so that when they schedule somebody, and they tend to be less reliant on advertisements, right? Because they want it to be word of mouth. They want it to be someone who they can go back to and be like, why did you send me this person?
Right. Right.
But
Right.
no, I've always been good. But
Okay.
the
Okay.
knock on wood. Now I'm going to go into another one, Kelly.
Well, I want to hear a good story someday, so
My God, yeah,
I hope you get a good one. I think that is different being a woman versus being a man. I mean,
100%.
it's just different. Where
Yeah, and some of the best people in concierge PT in Phoenix, they're female practitioners, right?
Mhm.
Um, So
Mhm.
it's not that it's prohibitive, but it's definitely something where I realize like I'm going to be far less worried than
Well,
someone of a
yeah,
different
yeah. Well, and
demographic.
I think in some ways too, like if you think about sales, sometimes men can be more intimidating because
Hmm.
of your size. So, like if
Yeah.
someone comes and knocks on my door and does this door-to-door sales, they have to be really careful to not be intimidating when they come to my
Yeah.
door. My husband sold books door to door when
Oh
he was
yeah.
in college, and he like would practice being smaller and backing up because my husband's 6'4". So he
Oh,
had
there
to
you go.
be really careful to not come across too strong because it would
Yeah.
scare stay-at-home moms. So I think
Well, and
we have to
the
think
interesting
about.
thing is I ran my demographics of my patients in the last year. So the average physical therapy patient in the country is I think it's like 65% female, right?
Okay.
I think I run like 30% female for patients.
Okay.
So it's again, people will that can be a determining factor. Now, the golf is also a thing. Out of every four golfers, only one's a female, so that's part of it.
Okay. Okay.
But I've talked to other male PTs, and they're like, yeah, it's weird. Like when I was in insurance, it was way more female than what I'm getting now.
Hmm.
And I think, I mean, if you're a consumer and you have an option of seven people, you may choose like-minded or demographic.
Right. Yeah. So can they come to you? Do you have a brick and mortar at all? Can they come to
Yeah.
your home or like, okay.
Yeah, so I don't, not my home, but very close to my home in
Okay.
Arcadia, 40th Street in Camelback. There's a gym called Black Steel Fitness. It's a
Okay.
personal training studio. And anytime I need to see somebody, I will have them go there. Um, Also, I know Josh up at Fit
Like,
Six in Cave Creek. I asked him, like, hey, if I have a patient up here
oh,
who doesn't want me to come to their home, sometimes that'll be they have an apartment or they don't want to put the dog away or
okay.
whatever, right?
Okay.
And he's been open to it too, although I haven't taken
Okay.
him up on it yet.
Okay. That's good. I feel like that's good advertisement and gets you in front of a different
Yeah,
crowd too when you can get in front of
yeah.
someone else's space. So what makes you excited for in the next 2 or 3 years? What are you most excited about in the business?
Well, for me personally, controlling my own future, right? Now
Mhm.
I'm getting to the point where I have enough clients that I don't want to say I'm never worried about the paycheck, but it's far less like, oh crap, I got to figure out how to get two more people in 2 days, right?
Mhm.
And that's what, the previous few years have been. So I'm happy to have that financial stability
Yeah.
personally.
That does feel good. Fix the money problem.
Yeah, and then you can kind of get more onto the like, where do I want my company to go? So I
Right.
really see in the next 3 years, I'm going to be refining like my quote unquote perfect patient, right? And who I
Okay.
can help. And I'm going to face a fork in the road. I'm either going to do one of two things. I'm either going to stay where I'm at and raise my prices, because hopefully have the demand and enough people see that I'm worth more money. Or I will go into corporate world, right? Where I get a location, start taking insurance, and start being able to kind of grow and scale. So that is almost definitely going to be a me and the wife conversation because those are two very
Mhm.
different lives. One is very nice, 8 to 5, you do what I say because I'm worth this much money. The other is people are taking insurance. They care, do you take my insurance and are you down the street from me? And can you see me at 6 a.m.? And if you can't, I'll
Mhm.
go to the next person. So it's a
Right.
much rougher life to do that, but the payoff in the end is better because you can usually sell your company. Whereas
Right.
I'm never going to be able to sell this.
Oh, well, I know. I mean, you don't think you could get someone to work for you and do, or you just,
So it's a good question.
or would they take all your
It's
patients and clients?
exactly, it's
Yeah.
awful in concierge because the moat is so low, right? So if I fill
Mhm.
them up with 20 visits a week, then all of a sudden they're looking around and saying, all these people don't know the owner, they know me.
Right.
I'm just
Right.
going to start a business with a full schedule. Let's go. Right.
Right. Right.
And I've seen it happen. So it's not worth it to do when you have concierge. It's too much of a headache.
Okay. Okay. So if you were to advise someone who's going into PT school, what would you say to them? Someone going into school.
Yeah, I would say it's a good profession. Don't expect to make money, especially with the amount of loans you're paying.
Okay.
I would say I would hopefully have caught them before they signed into a graduate school at a private university because I will tell you, as someone who's hired over 100 PTs, I do not care where you went to school. Do
Mm,
not care at all. Go to a state school, make it as cheap as possible. Do
okay.
that because there's such a shortage.
Mm,
And PT is not the kind of stuffy professions where, like, there's a quote unquote shortage in law, but really there's actually just a shortage of like Ivy League law.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
so, like, there's no differentiation, right? So I would tell them, don't worry about it, pass and don't spend too
Okay.
much money.
Okay. Would you
um,
advise someone to not even go into the industry, or would you still advise someone like it's a good choice and you'll enjoy it and you'll have fun and it's
if you're
worthwhile?
smart about it, you can do it. I would really encourage them to get business education, like
Okay.
seek out business education because the schools are starting to do it. Like I'm doing two courses or two Q&A sessions with a friend's now a professor. So like they're bringing in people like me to talk business
Oh, good.
to
Yes.
like to PT students because the professor's like, look,
Mm,
we were always a branch of nursing. Like we were
okay.
always just the doctor fed us. And now the reimbursement rates are so low that every one of our students are
Mm.
saying, how do I make more money? So yeah, I would do that. It's a noble profession to be in. I will say, like, you feel really good after a day most of the time. But it can be a real big grind if you have a bad boss.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
wouldn't discourage people because I think we need more of us, but it's way less of a, yeah, you got to do this than it was 10 years ago.
Right. Right. If you could do anything else, what would
Yeah.
you do for a career? What would you do to make money?
Oh, lawyer. I
Oh,
wish I was a lawyer. Oh my
oh,
God.
really?
So, oh yeah. So,
What do you love about it?
well, so I never had any friends who were lawyers and no parents, friends who were lawyer or friends, whatever. I didn't grow up around lawyers, right?
Okay.
And then after I went to PT school, I found out in my family we do have some very high performing lawyers. It's like my dad's cousin or somebody lived in New York. So then I
Huh.
got to meet him, talk with him, and I was like, wait a second. So what you do is all this stuff, because I did my political science minor, almost major. Like I had to choose, do I go to Capitol Hill or do I go to my first PT internship, right? So I was like 2 credits away from a dual major. And I was like, wait, so I take what I learned already and then I just argue about it. And he's like, yeah, basically. And I'm like, so, and then I could start at like 175, and then everyone says like, oh, he's a lawyer. Ooh, as opposed to like, oh, physical therapist. You're like the hot girl from Scrubs, right? So
Ah,
like that
oh
was
my gosh.
I would so just strictly for out it, but no, I really do think also too it's fascinating because you can get into business, right? You can do corporate law, you can figure that stuff out, mergers and acquisitions, negotiating, all the stuff that, is those are the podcasts I listen to on the way to between patients is like economics podcasts and business podcasts and stuff. So it's I think I would have liked that role.
Okay. What is a podcast you would recommend? Like, is there one that you have like that you subscribe to in that arena?
Ooh, there's a bunch.
Or do you just jump
There's a
around?
bunch. Well, I'm a fantasy football nerd, so I'll keep that to the side.
Okay.
No, so business one for small business. He's a little polarizing, but Alex Hermosi,
Okay.
um, he has pretty good tactical advice. That if you're smart enough, then you realize, okay, this is not for me, but this one is, right?
Okay.
Very good at reminding you of things that you need to do versus like he's not blowing anybody's brains.
Okay.
But a lot of social proof there. And
Right.
then I'm actually trying to get more into YouTube. So Think Media does a lot of stuff on like how to build a YouTube channel. So I've
Okay.
been like diving into their back catalog.
Okay. Yeah, because you also have a podcast.
hmm
So you're doing podcasting, you want to start doing YouTube.
Yeah, well, so the I have a podcast for coaching, well, a consulting group. I forget what we call it, but basically, a buddy of mine, he's got 5 clinics and he does like 2 million plus in revenue each year. So
Okay.
he's got the social proof of he started where I'm at, and 10 years later, he's got a bunch of clinics, right?
Okay.
Um, so he's like, well, we should start a podcast because I can just like tell new grads like what they should and shouldn't do. I was like, well, this is
Okay.
great because I'm starting my own business, so you could tell me
Right.
what to
Not
do,
me.
and we
Right.
just
Yeah.
record it,
Yeah.
right? So with that though, we haven't made crap all for money, right?
Right.
But I've learned a lot about social media, about posting stuff, about the marketing side.
Okay.
So I've taken that as like, we haven't made the, billions of dollars, but I've paid down my ignorance tax on that. So now I want to make sure it goes towards my actual moneymaker, which is the business. So that's why I'm
Okay.
starting the YouTube and I'm starting, more social stuff.
I love it. I love it. So, how can we find that podcast? What's it called?
The podcast is called the Front Row Back Row Podcast,
Okay.
presented by Physio Growth. Nobody remembers Front Row Back Row, so just type in Physio Growth, and it's the only
Okay.
podcast.
Okay.
It is
Okay.
very niche. It is focused at physical therapy business owners,
Okay.
but we
Okay.
give a lot of good practical, like kind of entrepreneur advice.
Okay.
And then my YouTube channels for my golfers, right? And
Okay.
that's the Golf Doctor. It's Golf Doctor DPT, I think, is the
Okay.
handle. But basically, if you search the Golf Doctor, I think I'm the only one actually using it.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so yeah,
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So, um, we'll just wrap this up with who's been the absolute biggest influence on your life, on your personal and professional life?
well, I mean, I gotta say, I got a good relationship with my parents, so I'm gonna go with the parents,
Mm,
right? You have one's from a coal mining town, one's from a farm town, um, but they both understood the importance of education. Lots of teachers in the family,
Mhm.
So I have a good mix of like, I can talk, hopefully, I can talk to anybody at any different level
Yeah, I
of
think
the social
yeah.
stratus. But they've also pushed me to say, you have the ability to work your way up and meet these people and talk to people and do this. So they're the biggest influence on my life because honestly, I mean, beside just being, your parents, very much like, um, I don't want to say like, un unbridled enthusiasm. It's not that. You're a parent, you know. It's
Right,
more like, okay, if you want to do this, you can do it. Just don't be an idiot. And that's
right.
essentially been their parenting advice for the last 20 years.
I love that. I think we come from similar backgrounds. My parents were my biggest cheerleader, my grandma too.
Yeah.
That they believed that I could do anything. And my dad's an entrepreneur, so
There you go.
he never took no for an answer. Like if there was a no, he's like, no, there's a way. We can figure this out. And
Good.
um, I don't know, we're capable of so much, and it's so nice to have parents that have your back and
Yeah.
love you and believe in you. It's all you and I have ever known. And
Yeah. Even if they don't understand what you're doing, they're like, well,
yeah,
you have the bones to do it.
you
So
have what it
figure it
takes.
out.
You have what
Yeah.
it takes. Yeah, I think all young men and young women need to know that they have what it takes.
Oh
And when
yeah.
you can get that from your parents at an early age, I think it just sets you apart and just gets you so much further ahead, like right out of the gate.
Well, and that's the thing is, I'm in this entrepreneurship journey coming to it after the corporate world. In the
Right.
corporate world, you're very much like, that must be a one-off. He got lucky. He got whatever. And once you
Right.
actually do it, and once the major advice, my accountant gave this advice to me. It's like, dude, just start. Like I
Mm,
remember being like, well, what about taxes on my house? And like, blah, 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 blah. He's like, just freaking start, make money, man. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's not that hard. I've seen a bunch of idiots make a lot of money in business. Like you have what it takes. And I was just like, I can't believe I'm getting that advice from my accountant, but okay.
My son's kind of said something similar when I was driving him to the airport to go back to college, and he was looking around and he's like, "Mom, all these people have figured it out." He's like, "I'm going to be fine." Like this person's driving a car, this person's going to a job, and like
Yeah.
you're gonna figure it out.
So,
Just do it. That's been a common thread I've noticed with anyone that I have on the Driven podcast is the advice has been like, just do it. Like Nike
yeah.
knows what they're talking about. Like, just do
Yeah.
it.
I laugh what your son said is what I said to my wife when she was picking out a microfiber crib mattress. I said, there's people in other parts of the country where the kids are sleeping on the floor and they
Yeah.
become like tech entrepreneurs and everybody. We're
Yeah.
fine. That did
Yeah.
not go over very well.
We're getting the microfiber mattress.
Exactly
That's
right.
so funny. I know it is crazy. We can make it happen with very little. We can
Yeah.
be young, dumb, and broke and scrappy and make it happen. Like we can figure it out. I'm
Oh
so
yeah.
proud of you. I'm so excited to see your journey and super excited to see where this goes. And when you get to that crossroads, I hope you're super clear on the next
Yeah.
step. And no matter what it is, I think it's going to be awesome. And the journey is so fun, isn't it? Isn't
Oh
it?
yeah.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah. It's like your own
Figure
movie you're playing out in real time.
I know. What's that one book? Like Choose Your Own Adventure. Like remember you could
Oh.
pick.
Oh yeah, like the goosebumps or whatever they were. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. We are the architect of our own lives and we get to build and create this into something amazing. So it's going to be fun to watch. I'm excited.
There you go.
All
I'm
right, my
pumped.
friend. All right, I'll talk to you soon. I will see you this week, actually.
All
I
right. See you,
won't.
Kelly.
I'll see you this week. I'll see you
Oh
sometime.
no.
Yeah,
Yes,
we're off.
it's
We're off
Labor
this
Day.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Happy Labor Day. Thanks so
All
much.
right, you as well. See ya.
Bye-bye. Thanks again for joining us today on the Driven podcast, where we are all about growing relationships in life and business. We hope today's story reminded you that behind every brand, every business, and every big idea, there's a real person choosing to show up, stay rooted, and lead with intention. Your story matters. So keep building, keep loving, and keep doing the hard, beautiful work of showing up in both life and business. We'll catch you next time with another real inspiring conversation. And until then, never let love and kindness leave you. Always be a fountain, not a drain. And don't ever forget that you are the best.